David Gazard, for Peter Dutton now, it is a long road ahead because it's not just the 77 Labor seats. You've got all the Teals as well. They're only in the mid to, I think, 57 seats from memory. So it's a long road to get back to government. What does he need to do day in, day out? It's a slog, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, you know, you really have to sort of approach the next term as, you know, you do as a campaigner, if you're looking at it in political terms, and that is to lock in your base and reach out to swingers and try to bring them along. I mean, I agree with Eamon in what he's saying. I think, you know, a new term of government is a time where you can work to bring together people and you've got a mandate to govern. But, you know, the problems that you face as a government are significant, and you know, you're seeing that already with gas prices, for instance, where, you know, the government has difficult decisions about whether or not it pulls the trigger or whether it expands the exploration and the extraction of gas to meet the demands of the economy in a transition phase. So all of those things are difficult, and you've got to manage them. So over the first term, the second term, the third term, as you've seen the previous government, they accreted enemies. They put people offside, as you almost have to do in any government. So there will be difficult things that this government has to face. No doubt the opposition will be pursuing them as their supporters expect them to do, to keep faith with where they're at. So you know, I think that's where the opposition leader will go. But he'll be looking to target his base first and gradually reach out to swinging voters wherever they are.
So lock in that and build from there. Your friend, Scott Morrison, now 10 days on, how's he dealing with it all now?
Look, you know, there's obviously a sense of you know, sadness or, you know, disappointment over the result. But I do think the demands of modern government are ever increasing. It is. I had the good fortune in the 90s to work for John Howard, and I would say you pack in more, you know, per day now than prime ministers have faced previously. So, you know, I think there's a sense of achievement about coming through the global pandemic, leaving the country in relatively good shape. You know, even though the country faced difficulties with the supply of vaccines and so on and so forth, there's a sense of achievement around some of those key large, the big figures, the really strong numbers that were bequeathed to this government. So
he's still at Kirribilli House. What's happening there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I noticed a piece you did earlier, and I think it's been gracious of the new Prime Minister to extend him the opportunity to stay there. There's no real secret to it. He's just getting his house in the Shire repainted. The poor guy hasn't really had a day off for the last 3 years, so he's doing some much needed renovation on the interior of the house so he can move into it.
Okay, well, there we have it. The scoop. He's got the Dulux being done at his old place. Eamon Fitzpatrick, finally to you. One thing I think that is a benefit for Anthony Albanese is the fact that he comes in with low expectations among many voters. He had a bit of a rocky time during the campaign, the odd gaffe and so on. So it's the benefit of low expectations in politics. You don't want to come in with stratospheric expectations because we've seen how that ends.
Well, Kieran, look, that is a good point, but I would say this. Look, having worked for leaders as well, you know, leaders are made in the job. You can be the best opposition leader, if you like, and you can win an election, but as soon as you become Prime Minister or Premier, it's a different ballgame. You're judged very differently. And every leader becomes that leader. Their leadership is defined whilst they're in the job. So, and I think these days, you know, it's hard to say nobody knew the PM because he was a senior minister for a long time. He's definitely very known right across the business community. He's got a huge reputation there and on other fronts. But I think leaders are made in the job, and I think we're going to see a lot of good things from this Prime Minister and his team.
Eamon Fitzpatrick from Fitzpatrick Advisory. David Gazard from DPG Advisory. Gentlemen, very much appreciate it.